That new greatsword? I haven't, no. I think I'm gonna make like greatsword BB build. Please hop down here. Let's go, bro. Alrighty, guys. I've got another build video for y'all. This is going to be the bow scorpion's sting build. So starting off with the helmet, I've got a piece of hasted vigor, shuriken heals, and leeching cyclone. Now this is going to be a full 5-piece shuriken heals build, and I'm rocking featherweight as my armor artifact. This is a phenomenal artifact, especially when trying to stay in light equip load and min-maxing your defenses as much as possible. So we're able to run 2 pieces of heavy and 2 pieces of light with featherweight. Now I've got light gloves with shuriken heals / con and health. I kind of wish this piece had freedom, so it would be shuriken heals / con and freedom, so that I've got a total of 3 pieces of freedom to stay as elusive as possible. Now what you could do is, instead of running the pieces of freedom, you can switch that out with enchanted ward. I think that would also be a very good alternative as well. Then I've got on the legs piece of freedom, shuriken heals, and shuriken energy. Shuriken energy is a phenomenal perk, especially being in light equip load. With the bow, we are constantly dodging, so being able to keep that stamina regen up as much as possible is very, very strong for this build. Now I've got the key speed boots, of course. The Sandline Tarsus boots are a staple with all my builds now. I think having a lot of haste still in the current meta is very strong. It's very important when, you know, trying to 1vx, even fight outnumbered. I really harp on movement is key to winning fights when fighting outnumbered. Being able to dip in and out of the fight, you know, really go on the offensive, secure the kill, and you can regroup, find that line of sight, heal up, and you're able to, you know, kind of get away and then come back. It's very, very strong with the bow, of course. Now for the bow, I actually managed to get this bow to drop from just a Gorgon raid, but what's important is the perks on it. It's got disdain infliction, so the potency of my outgoing dots are increased by 15%. Hitting a target inflicted by your dots will extend the duration of them by 5%. And then it's got enfeebling poison shot. Poison shot hits apply weaken, reducing the target's damage by 27% for 8 seconds. Very strong weapon perk, especially on the weapon. I highly recommend it. It's so strong. Being able to weaken your target as often as you will when running poison shot. They did change the cooldown for poison shot this season, so it's a lot shorter than it was in the previous seasons, so that is really, really good. Now I've got Sundering Stacks on this as well. Sundering Stacks is a really good perk, especially with the bow. We'll be hitting, you know, like a heavy attack, light attack, you know, combo, as well as, you know, you hit the rain of arrows. That's another stack of Sundering Stacks. Any attack. So keeping that 20% rend up is very possible when running this bow. And of course I went with the turquoise gem to give us 12% armor pen. Now I know one thing that you could do with this setup, I personally use some of this gear for other builds, so I don't want to fully invest in that. But if you want to do this, you definitely can. Is split gemming this build with nature is very strong. So if you want to fully tap into nature damage, split gem the bow with a amber gem as well as the spear, and then go with 5 arboreal rune glasses on the armor as well as a nature damage ring, and really pump some damage with this. But like I said, I didn't go with that setup because I reuse a lot of this gear for other builds of mine. And of course, what really makes this build shine and very potent is the Scorpion Sting artifact. You guys know this is one of my favorite artifacts, and I've been enjoying both bow a lot, so I was like, hey, why not pair one of my favorite weapons with the bow? And it is a match made in heaven, man. This setup is so strong. I mean, I'm still learning the combos and whatnot. I'm still, you know, getting used to aiming with a bow. I'm not the best at it, but I still get the job done. Now, what really makes the Scorpion Sting so strong and unique is its intrinsic perk. Sting Javelin now does 100% weapon damage and pulls targets towards you, but the default cooldown is increased to 20 seconds and can only be reduced by conditional cooldown reduction. And then I'll go over the skill tree in a little bit, but we'll have some passives in the skill tree to reduce our cooldown conditionally. Now, I went with the Arboreal Opportunist gem in this. The Opportunist gem is an emerald gem, and the 13% damage against targets below 50% health, as well as you get 3.5% healing for those targets as well. That damage is not considered an empower. That is base damage, which is really nice. So you'll be doing 13% more damage. And a lot of times when we are going for that kill, we are hitting them with the javelin and then the light attack cyclone combo. I mean, you guys see in the clips, I'm bringing them down to about a little past half health just from that. I mean, one thing you could do to really increase the damage, you could go with an onyx. I think that'd be pretty strong too. But one thing this weapon does have is the Sundering Javelin perk on it. Javelin inflicts rend to targets above 50% health, reducing the target's armor by 41% for 10 seconds. It is so strong. So even if they're just above 50% health, we will surely bring them down really quickly with that Opportunist gem. And of course, it's got Trench of Strikes. And then I went ahead and put Plague Strikes on this. This is a pretty universal perk. I use this weapon with other builds, and sometimes I am hitting those heavy attacks, those half heavies, or even a full heavy attack to really stick to my target. So thus applying the Plague Disease on our target for 8 seconds, reducing the healing effectiveness on the target by 27% and outgoing healing by 14%. I've always said that you need some form of anti-heal in this meta. There's a ton of healing out there, especially when dealing with healers. I think it's a very good option to go with. Then, of course, to really tap into full dot setup as well, we're rocking Bile Bomb. I love this Heart Rune with this setup. It's very strong. Now, I'm rocking the Brutal Heart Rune of Bile Bomb. You could go with the other versions. It's up to you. One thing I do like about this, though, is that it increases the incoming healing reduction to 50% and outgoing healing reduction 25% and damage to 150% per second. But the projectile no longer creates a cloud on impact. So keep that in mind. But it does last for 8 seconds, which is so strong. And then Crippling Bile, it inflicts a slow on hit, reducing the target's movement speed by 20% for 3 seconds. It is very strong. I do like this. I might end up, trying out the other variations of the Bile Bomb, but yeah, I really do enjoy this. Now I've got a Hoplite amulet. This amulet is so awesome, especially being in light equip load. We don't have a lot of CC immunities, so running unimpeded potency of slows on you are reduced by 30% as long as you have not been exhausted in the last 10 seconds. This is really nice, so I can stay as elusive as possible. Like I said, I'm running those multiple pieces of freedom. However, you could go with a Health Divine Thrust Protection amulet or whatever protection you see fit. You could go with flame protection as well. That's a very good option. I tend to switch between the two from time to time, but for the ring, this is very set in stone. Healing Breeze, Burst Damage Hardy, or if you were running a nature damage split, you would of course go with the nature damage ring. But that Healing Breeze is a must-have. It's very strong. Passive healing right now is very, very good. And then this artifact has grown on me a lot this season. Previously, I have not ran Endless Thirst. I actually didn't like it for the longest time, but I've gotten used to the potion rotations, and it is very strong, and I survive. I've noticed I survive a lot better. So if you've got this artifact, definitely go with it. Its intrinsic perk, the Thirst healing consumables, are 33% stronger, but survival and mana potion cooldowns are 25% longer. Keep in mind that with the new changes they made with the potion cooldowns, it's only affecting the potion that you drank. So the other survival potion that is on cooldown has that default cooldown of 20 seconds. So you can then alternate between the two, and but you get that 33% stronger healing from those potions. Very, very strong. And of course, it's got empowering toast, fortifying toast. So I tried to do is keep an eye on my buff bar, and if I don't see that shield up, I will, and if I have like, you know, mana pot on the bar, I will pop that and, you know, keep that 20% fortify for 8 seconds up there to really increase the mitigation with this build. Is the difference between life and death. I think it's a very, very strong artifact to get used to with those potion rotations. And of course, I went with regenerating on this artifact. Regenerating is very strong. I don't know why you would go with anything else, but like I said, I always say with all my builds, this is just a template. Feel free to change up anything, you know, what works for me may not work for you. And then on to the resistances. I've got 7.5 slash, 7.5 strike, 22.9 thrust, 7.5 standard damage, that is your bleed resist, and then 12.5 elemental resist across the board. Now that consists of 5 opals and 3 onyxes. Now keep in mind, I do have a slash on perk to increase the slash resist by 5% for 5 seconds after taking slash damage, so that will increase up to 12.5 slash resist. On to the attributes. I'm rocking 100 strength, 350 dex, and then 200 con to really increase our physical and elemental armor by 10%, as well as getting the most damage out of the bow as possible. Unfortunately, bow only scales with dex. Now you could go with 400 dex and 150 con, but I do like having as much resistance as possible because I do like to fight outnumbered. Now going with 100 strength, we get plus 10% to our physical damage, as well as increasing our base damage with Scorpion up to 1748. That is very, very nice. Now onto the bow skill tree. Be sure to pause the video or take a screenshot. This is what I'm rocking with this build. This is actually the same setup I went with the bow sin dot build. I really like it. I think it fits very well with this. Feel free to, you know, change it up to your liking, but I feel this is very, very solid setup for the build. And then lastly, the spear skill tree. Again, be sure to pause the video or take a screenshot. One thing that I added with this is the invigorated combo, where, you know, you restore 25 stamina per target hit. I think this is really nice, you know, keeping that stamina up as much as possible on this build, you know, makes you as very elusive. So I went with this passive. You can swap that out with refreshing jabs, but I think this is a very solid passive to run. Everything else is really good. Now, what you could also do is, if you don't prefer perforate, you could go with vault kick. Vault kick is a very solid option, but I do like having the perforate with this build, being able to apply that rend as well as that weaken, and we can stack those debuffs very well with this build. So yeah, feel free to change it up to your liking. And then lastly, just some tips I could give you guys when running this build. I like to start off the fight by hitting my target with an poison shot, either followed up with like a fully charged heavy attack or light attack, sometimes even into the explode shot. And then it will try to close the gap, like if I'm playing a melee player, and I'll do is almost like turn my back, kind of bait the shot with rain of arrows to, you know, effectively get the rain of arrows to hit, because it also applies that slow, which is really nice. And then switch to the spear. Sometimes I'll block, you know, kind of fake the attack, or I will almost like fake the javelin to get them to roll, maybe stand themselves out. I'm always, you know, trying to pay attention to that stand bar, but I go ahead and hit that javelin to bring them to me, and then I light attack cyclone, and then I'll sometimes do is hit them with the roll catch half heavy. And if they're, you know, a light player, they will sometimes do like a 180 and go like the opposite direction. So I'll like hold the for a full heavy and then try to change the direction of where I am. It's a very good combo. Yeah, you get that combo down, you'll definitely see the damage you'll be dealing to your targets. Like I said, I'm not the best with the bow. I'm still, you know, learning, but I do enjoy it a lot. Made it this far in the video, I really appreciate it. Guys, we are almost to 2,000 subs. If you're new here, be sure to smash that sub button. And if you enjoyed your time, hit that like button. A free and easy way to support the video. And as always, guys, I'll catch y'all in the next one.